So, Ash, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thanks for reaching out on sort of Instagram, but I think I'd come across your posts as well previously before you reached out, and especially around sort of like the cross tri element of it. It's not necessarily um, an area of triathlon that I know very well. I know the traditional, road biking, lake swim or a sea swim or a pool swim, and then traditional sort of road running, but not necessarily the cross tri element of it. Will you just talk us through probably what's the main difference between cross tri and normal triathlon as I know it?
Yeah, for sure. So the biggest difference is that you swim like in a lake or river. Pool ones may exist, but I've not done one yet. And then you basically hop on your mountain bike. That's the biggest difference. And then you go around a mountain bike course. And then you get off your bike just like in a regular triathlon. And then you slip on your trainers, but you wear a pair of trail running shoes. Right. And then you can, depends on where you are in the world, it may be like around like a local park sort of situation, or it could be up and down a mountain, like depends like what the terrain is. But it's normally they tend to go from sprint up to Olympic distance, but off-road basically. So same distances, but just it tends to be a lot more hilly and lumpy because of the mountain element.
From my point of view, though, and regular listeners to the podcast will know this, I don't necessarily come from a swim, bike, run background. I come from team sports, and what I would say is the one thing I do love when I first got into running. First of all, I love the trail running. I love it. There's something about trail running where all of a sudden, for me anyway, the pressure's off about going as fast as possible because you've got to really concentrate on the terrain.
Yeah.
So whether you're going up, you're constantly looking, right, what's my footing? What's underneath me? Will I will I be able to get grip? Will I slip? And then you've got the other element of it coming down, and I'm absolutely shocking at coming down. And I love that as well. So, is it that sort of terrain, or is it more of mixture, or what?
Yeah, it's it depends on the course where you are, but most of the time it's proper off-road, like what springs to mind, like I did Italy last year. That was really good at Lake Garda, and you're running like round the edge of the lake and off up into the foothills, and it's like you have to really concentrate on what you're doing. And then likewise, a month later, I went to Belgium and raced around the Citadel where they have the cyclocross World Cup. And so you're running through a castle and scrambling up the banks and stuff, and then you're running up and down the steps and all that, and over the drawbridges. So it's like, it's really varied, but you can get that sort of flow where you're really concentrating, so you can't think of anything else, but then you're also totally relaxed and just going through the trees and things, which is quite nice, if that makes sense.
So how did you get into it? Did you come from a triathlon background or other different background?
No, I grew up like racing mountain bikes, but just downhill, and surfing a fair bit, and then just stumbled into triathlon through mates and stuff doing it, and had a bit of a pop, thought it looked like fun, did a few sprint events and all that. And then the universe sort of showed me cross triathlon because my coach at the time had started doing it a bit, and it like nudged me towards it. Well, I don't have a mountain bike, and then one of my mates was selling a mountain bike really cheap, so I was like, oh, get that, and then gave it a go, and just never really looked back.
So how did you then sort of take that step up for, you've gone and you've done European races. Have you done that from a GB point of view, or is it off your own back?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. It's sort of like in football, you've got like the UEFA Champions League or whatever, and then obviously people play for England as well. Or it's better analogy is more like Ironman. So you have all your races, but you have the age group like GB events and ITU, ETU. So there's a brand called Xterra, which is the Ironman equivalent in cross triathlon. And sadly, there's no UK Xterra around because, well, a multitude of reasons. It's just bigger in Europe basically because they got more space and that. I think there are some good cross tri races in the UK, but they haven't got a big branded event.
Yeah.
So you have there's the Xterra World Tour, just like Ironman, and then every year they have a final in Hawaii, but it's on an island. Yeah, it's on Hawaii, so that's pretty good. And then separately as well, do the GB age group stuff too. So for the ITU and ETU.
And I'm assuming then that's qualification when you're doing the GB element of it. You're qualifying within races.
Yeah, so you can use some of the cross tri events in the UK to get your evidence and your placings, but the Xterra ones also obviously count because the events are quite limited in the UK. They're quite open to, as long as you can get to one and do it and get a good result, then they take it on a case by case basis.
And so if someone was looking to sort of get into cross tri, how would they go about it? Because ultimately it appeals to me. It's potentially another new bike, which I don't know if the other half would be that happy about.
No.
But where's the foot in sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook much, but it's just too much of a time thief, isn't it? Yeah. But there's a group called like the Cross Tri Hub, which is quite good. So it just introduces you and they post loads of events. There's the team manager for like the GB age group team. He's a good point of contact. And then like through Instagram and things like that, just finding people. But I'd say, it's a bit of a strange one. You get a lot of like people just floating about for it, like regular triathletes that then just end up getting another bike. And it's not, the courses, some like, if you go away abroad, then the courses can be a bit more full on, but it's not massive jumps or anything crazy because you're still in like a tri-suit at the end of the day and a little helmet, aren't you? You haven't got knee and elbow pads on for the mountain bike.
Yeah.
So it's not like a black run or anything. So it is quite toned down, the mountain bike, and so it's a lot more accessible than people think, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a strange one to get into. I guess it's just using things like Instagram and whatnot. Because I'm not in a particular cross tri like local club. There is the Race Off Road Club, which a pro athlete Doug Hall and Nicole Walters run. That's like a more of a virtual club, I guess. They do like annual training camps and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. Because I'm South Wales based. I'm in Cardiff, and triathlon in the last 10 years, I would say here, has massively boomed.
Yeah.
Probably because of events like Ironman Wales. So it's gone through the roof, and now you can't really move for the smaller events as well, and that's a good thing because these smaller events are opening up the world of triathlon to the rest of the world, sort of thing, or the rest of the area. But what I haven't come across, I suppose, is the cross tri within the South Wales area, and it's a shame because it probably would add something to the calendar, so to speak, and the schedule of races. Does this follow a similar sort of time of year that the events are run, as a traditional triathlon?
Yeah. So like the big players in the UK, there's like the Eastbourne Triathlon, Cross Triathlon. There's one in Abbey Moor each year, one at Craggy Island. So both of those are in Scotland, which is a bit of a mission. And then there's the Eventrex one, which is down like Pippingford way, which is like Reading, I think. But the one thing there is in the UK is there's a lot more cross duathlon. I think it's because of like land management, because getting a big body of water next to some land you can race mountain bikes is a bit hard. It's hard enough for road tries, isn't it?
And I had Kathy Stringer on the other day, and she's very similar to yourself, sort of GB represented age group in element of it, and and she's got into duathlon, and so we had a good chat about it. And I do generally think that there is a place for duathlon within triathlon and on its own as well. But you're right, it's the swimming element is often the most difficult to sort of factor in, because you can find a trail and you can to run on and to cycle on, but to, that body of water, like you said, is difficult. And
Well, it's like they have the escape Afan or the Afan Extreme or something like that, duathlon, cross duathlon up near you.
Run by Tough Runner, is it, or Tough
Yeah.
Mudder or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, they're starting to do a good series of duathlons, which I'm aware of, and and triathlon anyway, but running events. There's a couple that are running around by me, and I wish I'd had the idea because, well, I sort of had the idea of thinking, well, this would be a really good organised run in and around this area, and yeah, someone else jumped in and had it. So
I've had like the brainwave of doing. I want to do a cross triathlon in Bristol, but it's making it happen because you got like the big harbour, and you got the Ashton Court Estate where you could have all. It's got all the mountain bike loops built into it already.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I used to have the Harbour Triathlon in Bristol. I don't know if you ever did that one.
No.
But that was my first Olympic distance back in 2015, I think, something like that. So yeah.
And is that your sort of local area? Are you?
Yeah. So I live in Bristol. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I
can tell by the accent actually. So.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It's it's fascinating actually. The fact that there's a whole world out there which is so similar to the sport that I love, and I know very little about it.
Yeah.
And so going back to then, like when you said you first started, did you have people around you that helped you get into triathlon and then sort of other cross triathlon as well?
Yeah, like my wife and that was really supportive. I don't know why, but yeah, I picked up the idea. Then my dad, when I was younger, got a hold of it and did it. I had like a few knee injuries and stuff from other bits and bobs that I've been doing, and didn't actually do a try for a good few years. And then 2015 I started training properly. I think 2014 was my first year doing triathlon. 2015 I started training properly, and then did the GB age group stuff for sprint on the road in 2016. And then at the end of 2016, stumbled onto the Cross Tri World, and I only did the one. I did the European Champs, the sprint stuff on the road in 2017, and the rest of my entire year was just all racing off road. So well and truly caught the bug.
Yeah. And what's your favourite race so to date then?
Oh, it's a hard one. Like the Xterra Worlds in Maui was insane because
it's where it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the atmosphere. Like, you're at a big race with helicopters flying around and stuff.
And it's mad because again, this is me assuming, but like the level of exposure you have in this country to then take it to another country which thinks it's absolutely massive. It must be amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Likewise, Belgium is one of the best because the Belgians can definitely build a good bike course, and it's all in that castle, so it's a real intense atmosphere. It's almost like a festival. So they got bands playing the whole time, and then there's people lining through and you're riding this amazing castle, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the cool places I've got to race as well. Really.
Go on. Well, I was just about to ask though. This year, how has it affected you? COVID. Events being cancelled left, right, and centre.
I had some big plans. I was down to do a couple of Xterra events. I'd left it quite open because I ended my last year with a hamstring injury. So I was kind of like just sort of seeing how it went. But I was going to go to Greece, for Xterra Greece, and Xterra Oak Mountain in Alabama in the States.
Oh, wow.
I had to do a work trip, so I was going to try and tie it all together.
It's convenient.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, they all fell through because of COVID, and then the ITU World Champs in September's fallen through. So I've kind of reset and because I only started racing on the road during sprint and had no background in endurance sport, just surfing and riding my bike down a hill, which doesn't get you very fit.
Yeah.
So like I've never done a half marathon or even run over like an hour really, and like I've been doing some 4-hour bikes, just gradually building up that big base so I can look to put the speed on it when it comes to it next year when we get back to racing.
Yeah.
Obviously, racing is returning now, but I'm a bit, I don't know. We're also moving house. We're in the middle of moving house, so that's been interesting.
Yeah. I'm not moving house at the moment, but I've just had a baby, a second. So we've got an 8-week-old baby at the moment, and yeah, damn family things getting in way.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, just focus on having fun again, really. Getting out on the cross bike and things and exploring and just trying to sort out the life things. I think just trying to build that solid base. And so I had a few niggles and that from last year hanging over as well. So just trying to iron everything out, get that base built.
Yeah, and you sound like a very similar situation to where I am, and I've still got a couple of little niggles now, and I very much saw when COVID hit, right, this is an opportunity. If the year is going to be written off, or a good chunk of the year is going to be written off, let's just try and sort everything out. And I've got like a slight lower back QL sort of glute issue.
Oh, really?
And yeah, hopefully that'll get sorted, and ultimately, by not just rest but active rest, you should sort it as well. It's it's a funny old time in it at the moment.
I'm not sure how excited I am to go. The other thing is, like, if there are races at the end of the year, it's all like these social distance races, and it's like, is there any point trying to get fit and peak for those and potentially eating into next year's fitness? Like, what's the point of peaking for one event? And if you pull your hamstring a week before, then it's all wasted, isn't it?
And it's my biggest fear at the moment. I posted on social media today, actually, that lockdown is starting to be the restrictions are being lifted. So the biggest fear is that there's two types of people out there. Those who have kept up their training, and hats off to them, because when you lose the motivation of races and things to keep up the level of training, it is difficult. So hats off to those individuals. And then there's another group of people that probably either slacked off their training or stopped altogether. And the danger is now that people will just start back training and go back to a level where they think they are, but they're not, because they've had months out of the pool. They've potentially not had the running training or the cycling training that they once had. Or the fitness that they had, I should say. And that's the danger, that people will go to an event thinking this is the peak, this is my year now, and I'm just gonna rest it. It's a dog. What's the dog's name?
Spoke.
Brilliant. But and so that's my thinking anyway, that we will lose, or that people will put everything into these one events that they're trying to do, and potentially either fail or get injured or not be able to complete it.
Well, that's why British Tri have they've made, was it all the swims are non-competitive for the first 6 weeks the pool's being open, aren't they, or something like that?
Are they? Wow.
Yeah, they've they're calling the time, or they're doing something. So basically, you can't have a proper race until the pool's been open for at least 6 weeks to let people get back into that confidence. But I know what you mean. Like, my dad's he's a nightmare for everything in life. He'll just go from 0 to 100 miles an hour straight away. Even like doing up IKEA furniture, he's like tightening it up, and it's not tight until the bolt's snapped off. Like, it's, he's a nightmare. But it is hard. It's like, it's important to rein yourself back, isn't it? Like you said in your post, and trying to ease back into it. And because it's what is it, 3-to-1 ratio? You lose your fitness roughly. Yeah,
I know. It all depends on
totally.
things, but it's it's easy to lose it, isn't it? Wrong type of training or inactivity, and you can lose elements of it. My biggest fear is that with gyms being closed, there's a certain element of strength and conditioning that people have lost as well. And they'll just jump on a bike, and especially possibly the ones who go longer distance as well. They'll try and jump on a bike for 4 or 5 hours, and they'll do themselves some mischief because they still think they're where they were. And I'm guilty of that. I've done it previously. I've come back from injury and I've tried to run a half marathon when I haven't run for like a month or something.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, it's a strange one with the difference between racing on the road and off road is like the intensity as well is a different sort of fitness, if that makes sense. Like on the road, obviously the sprints in the Olympic draft league was a bit different, but on the road you're sort of holding a flat power, aren't you, for the whether it is Ironman bike, but like the off road you're trying to hold that power, but then do efforts off of it the whole time, which just because you've got to go around a tight corner and sprint out or run up a steep bank, or it just saps you down, and then you've got the more technical element of handling your bike. So you've got like the double whammy of fatigue and the lack of skill if you haven't ridden your bike for 3 months.
And it's right. You are right there. You sort of lose that what would be known in football or rugby as match fitness. You're fit as an individual, but that sort of mental, you're not switched on enough to think, oh, there's a bend, there's a corner coming here. I need to hit it right in order to exit it right.
Totally.
So you're 100% right. You hit the nail on the head with that one. So looking forward, then, do you think next year will be a big year for you if you've not written off this year, but you look to build on this year instead?
I mean, I say I've written off, but I'm not going to have any A events, if that makes sense. If there's like a local cross tri running that's like 2 hours drive from the house, then I might go give it a go, or one of the winter cross triathlons that go to Afan, it's not far from me, but I'm not going to fly across Europe to go to a race. That's it. This year I was hoping to do those Xterra events, and like I was quite close to the pro criteria last year, so kind of like within reach. So the plan for this year was to try and nudge up that next gear and try and be in the mix for that. But so I have to see what happens. It's going to be an interesting one to see. Like you said, everyone's either going to come out of this year really fit. Next year's going to be like insanely fast, or it's going to be crippled people because they've not done anything and tried to go faster immediately.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I just hope if that happens, I'm not one of those ones left behind. But for me, I like going longer because there's not so much pressure around getting a time within my mindset anyway. You still want to do your best and you still want to go as fast as possible. But my days of sprints, I think, are over from a competitive point of view anyway.
Same. Like speeds, like it just wears your body down, doesn't it, doing the speed work and things like that. It's just I don't know, my body doesn't like it too much. It's surprising how, as you build that base, how fast your zone 2 gets, without doing the speed work. Like if you stick it like the Maftone sort of method, it's that, isn't it? It's just like that constant speed work, building that big old engine, so you don't actually need as big a turbo on it, whereas a lot of people, they just start with a tiny little engine, they do all the speed work straight away, and they just it's like having a really small car with a turbo in it.
Well, I remember when I first came into running anyway, my other half's part of a running club. I stopped playing football and rugby, and I was like, let's go out with the running club. I knew them all anyway from a social aspect, and I was renowned in the running club for blowing up early. I would go, say it was a 5 or 6 mile club run, I would go all out for the first 3 miles, be right at the front, this is amazing, and for the next 3 miles, be at the back, blowing out my backside.
Oh, totally. I reckon that's what's going to happen in my first race back as well. It always happens. My first proper race of the year, you just go absolutely nuts. You forget how to pace it and everything. And
you're so excited that you're racing and the season started and you're there, and you just blow out your backside. The one thing I was going to mention, sort of going off that, I'm getting older and maybe I just want to go a little bit longer or a little bit slower anyway. I interviewed this week a guy called Rhys Jenkins, and Rhys is running around the coast of Wales.
Oh, it begins with R, the brand.
Rockman.
That's the one.
Yeah. So he's looking to do the record, and it's 19 and a half days. He's aiming for to be 20 and a half days. And when I was speaking to him, and I was thinking, oh, I'd love to do this, And for me now, the shorter stuff's done. I can't do it anymore. My body won't allow it. But yeah, that longer stuff, the appeal or the challenge or that, it's right up my street.
Yeah.
So
it does look interesting. It's weird. Like, I've never really been that bothered about Ironman and all that, but then I watched it November last year, and it actually looked appealing, and I didn't just disconnect YouTube after 30 seconds like I've tried in the before when I tried to watch it.
Hey, it's why I'm here, right? Because 2011, I went down to Tenby and I watched the first Ironman in Wales, and I was hooked, right?
Yeah.
We had a friend who did it. He didn't make it out of the swim. He got timed out. He was, there was tears on the beach of everyone around who was like, "Oh, this guy hasn't made it." And then the rest of the day, you saw all these people coming in, and you saw people coming in close to 17 hours, which is the cut-off point.
Yeah.
And it's just, the atmosphere was brilliant. And to be honest, you peak in the sense of, with an Ironman event within triathlon, the crowd is amazing. It's like going to watch the London Marathon as opposed to a 5K.
Yeah.
The crowd that you get really gets you going. And anyway, so that's why I'm here. And so danger is, by watching a big event like that and seeing the crowd and seeing just the atmosphere, it's the danger of signing up for something.
Oh yeah, it's mad, isn't it? That's the other thing with racing the cross triathlon and stuff, because you've got the mountain bike element as well. So you go and watch a mountain bike race, and then you're like, oh, I should probably do some mountain bike races, and then you try to shoehorn that into your season as well.
Yeah.
But,
well, the reason I asked at the very beginning about fell running and whether it was that type of running, I'm a massive fan of the man versus horse race in Mid-Wales. I don't know if you've come across that.
I've come across it, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I've done it a couple of times. I've never done the full event, but you can do it as legs. So it's about 21 miles, and there's 3 legs to run, and you can do it as a relay.
Yeah. And
I love it. Absolutely love it. I absolutely shit myself the first time a horse ran by the side of me, but it's an amazing event. And that's what I love with the fell running. It's not just that I'm on the road. I only have to focus on going in a straight line and getting there as fast as possible. The technical aspect of fell running, or even mountain biking, in this sense, it is amazing. And I wish I was one of these people that could, on a downhill, just lean forward and throw myself off a mountain.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the pro fell runner go downhill is,
I got a mate in running club, and on the flat, I'll beat him every time. Put me on I'll beat him up going uphill as well. But put me on a downhill, he's unbelievable. It's just like he lets gravity take over, and he just falls down the mountain, but falls, right. It falls in the right way. Let's put it that way.
It's like, I couldn't really get it until I started doing more mountain biking, which is only when it's like with a car tire, you only skid when you're trying to stop or change direction, don't you? So it's that thing of trying to pick your line, isn't it, and bounce your way down off of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's people don't believe you when you say it hurts more running downhill than it does uphill. The worst part's the downhill, definitely.
Bear with me, my battery's about to die.
Oh, mate. Mine's plugged in. No, that's good.
Sorry. my laptop went sort of dimmer then. I was like, shit.
Panic.
Panic. Right. I'll knock it on the head there. We've had about 20 minutes to, sort of catch up. From a cross-tri point of view, really, really interested. So keep in touch. Be really keen to sort of see how it goes, maybe the end of this year for you or next year. Come back on. Let's have a chat about it. If you go in, next time you're going abroad, we'd love to hear about it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We go from there. But thanks for coming on the podcast.
No worries. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll keep you posted, and maybe we'll get out for a ride or something.
Well, you're more than welcome to come over to South Wales anytime. Plenty of mountains to climb over here anyway.
Definitely. All right, mate. Cool.
Cheers, buddy.
Have a good evening.
And yourself. Ta-ra.